Hey, Jenko, we'll see what we can do. Well, welcome to part two of Let's see if we can get battery to work. So, first thing we need to do is get the board out with RiscPC and give it a bit more clean. I've had some ideas on how to fix the hinge and spring system. Mostly it's going to do... Hi Ben, hi JPin. Mostly it's going to involve the traditional solution in this situation of cutting something else up and using epoxy. Hi Matt. So the first thing we need to do is get down to the motherboard, which involves the annoyance of getting the podularizer out. Hi Swan. Hi MJ. Oh, if you want a fun one, Ben, about an hour ago I got crypto scammers on the phone for about 15 minutes. And the fun one was, because they're paying the interconnect fee to send the call to my phone. And they said I'm a liar and the phones don't work like that. It's like, what do you do here? They spent 15 minutes on the phone insulting me. See if I can do this where I can take the hard drive out. Here we go. Oh, yes, it's the speaker jack. Well, as you can imagine, Majenko, the best way to start a conversation with me is to ring my mobile, ask for Chloe, and call me sir. This time I got called a German Shepherd. So my response to that is, well, you do lot sound like an elderly chihuahua. You really should stop pissing on the floor. Can I do this without taking this out? And the answer is probably not. Quickly. Oh, the other fun one, Swarm, is that one of the giveaways is when they try and tell you this from something that definitely isn't in Leeds, but Leeds is where they've bought their VoIP out numbers from. And then they try and ring you back, and the number is one digit higher. It's a pity they didn't ring later. We could have put them online and happily told them that, 10 plus people are listening to the call. I have done a bit more tidying. All the drives that were above the camera, which is what caused the shelf to fall down in the first place, are now somewhere else rather than stacked to the side. Doesn't really work like that here, Swarm, because they're just buying VoIP numbers. So the only way to do it would be to block VoIP providers. I think these are too modern for you, Majenko. They're USB 2 and a 700 gigish ones, I think. Oh, no, Matt, it wasn't a sturdier shelf that was needed. It was sturdier fixings. This is a little IKEA unit that uses a bracket at each end with 2 screws in it, and it literally pulled itself out the wall. So there is now another shelf, just pine, bolted to the wall itself with 17 fixings, and then the normal shelf is screwed to that. Is there really any contemplating to do, Ben? Surely the answer should be have coffee for you. I mean, it wouldn't be for me, but you have tea. See if we can get around these. Yes, the wonderful smell of half a ton of IPA. That would involve having wall stubs, Matt. What pulled out of this wall is 2.5 centimetre wall bolts that then have a bolt that goes into them. This is solid brick. I just couldn't get enough splay on the wall bolts to actually hold with the diameter of the fixings. So this time I've used 6mm roll plugs and 17 of them, and so therefore the new shelf, the one that's vertical, is literally just there as a load spreader. The audio should be a little different as well. I haven't got the mic I'm going to get from Fated, so I've put I would say cheap and cheerful, but it's using about 5% of CPU load. Noise gate across the mic. Right. let's heat some stuff up. We'll see. And clear these holes out. It's mostly to get rid of the server noise from behind. I'll probably come up with something better when I've got the other mic. The worktop is held up with angle brackets every half metre. And it was put in by Simon, who does kitchens for a living, so this does not move. You can stand on this. Even when I was at my heaviest, I could stand on this. I couldn't, because that would actually make me taller than the ceiling. But it's come in handy for kneeling on it for picking things up. Fun of being tall, Ben. You walk into things. It also causes other problems. A friend of mine does not like my kitchen because it's designed for basically being fated. She's a lot shorter than both of us. She can't even get to the top shelf of the cupboards, let alone see what's on them. And if I put stuff above the cupboards, well, yeah, she's got no hope. So helpfully, Acorn did actually bother to label the battery terminals. I haven't got the other solder yet, so. Let's deal with things it's going to. My countertops are to standard height, otherwise the oven would have been a pain. But things like there's a larder cupboard at the end that is moved up to be level with the upper cabinets, which have been moved up. Right, I think I need a piece of wire to clean that out. Hang on a second. I will use the traditional IT solution. I was going to grab a piece of Cat 5 and just pull the wire out of it, but this will do. Because what sort of IT person can't find a random piece of wire to stick? Yeah, and most people get the legal reasons wrong. For those who don't know, a lot of people think that Imager pulled out of the UK because of the Online Safety Act. What actually happened is that Imager's parent company sells data. However, they don't remove children's data from the stuff they sell, and that is an offence, and Imager is therefore under investigation for fining, and so they pulled out the UK instead. Sounds like a good plan, Swarm. Like we should have top battery. Do something I'm normally very bad at remembering to do. And, clean up the flux. Didn't go through properly. Because I sold the wrong pad. No, MJ, in the UK, that's the Online Safety Act, and that's different. This is literally part of GDPR. You cannot sell minors' data. End of story. Doesn't matter whether you do age verification or not, it's your job to eliminate under 18 data from your system before you sell it. That's been in place a long time before the Online Safety Act came along. Well, I say a long time, a couple of years. So yeah, so everyone thinks Imager pulled out of the UK because of age verification. No, it's because they were being investigated for a criminal offence. For those who are wondering, by the way, I got the other parcel. So we have replacement batteries for the A series. And no one is going to be shocked that I use old ice cream tub for storing these things. Because I've redone everything, that camera's not quite right. Let's see if we can get a little bit more. Right. Let's see if this will. Where's the off? No. Yeah. Okay, cooling down. So, yeah, so I've cleaned off all of the space under my monitors. The monitors are slightly further back. The shelf isn't stacked on small power supplies. I was only using little power supplies for the to hold the shelf up. These are DL series 1200 watt, and the unit takes 4 of them. It's where I spray foam cleaner on the table, Majenko, and claim I'm cleaning. Let's put the tools over there. Right. It also means I've swapped out the monitor that does not like my computers for a monitor that's a bit happier. So. Just wedge that in for now. Now we know it'll moan if it doesn't have a keyboard. So I'll grab a keyboard. Yep. Right, let's get some power. Which I've conveniently left turned on at the wall. I don't have to get all the way over there, that way, to where the power socket this cable's plugged in is. So, now it will probably object if I don't give it the riser. And it definitely will object if I don't give it a processor. I'm not going to bother with the RAM. We don't need it for this. Right. And this is where the stupid bit comes in. That is what I'm going to use as the battery. Because it turns out the RiscPC, hi Bennett, uses a 1.2 volt battery, so I can use a straight NIML. The Vartas, the 3.6s, are overspec'd at 180 milliamp hours. The 1.2, I think, is an 80 milliamp hour. This is 1200. It would take the RiscPC roughly 90 hours to charge it. So I pre-charge them. think I've got the right input. So I'm just trying to do a reset. And as yet, nothing. So, wow, for the first time I've actually got some drop frames. 59, 0.1%. Okay, that is unhappy. Getting status. Okay, who wants to kick me? Can anyone spot the issue? It's the obvious one. Let me plug the power into the motherboard. Here we go, Majenko. Am I an idiot? Yes, I'm an idiot. Well, MJ, he's been after me creating one. Oh, we get monitor output now. Still got blue screen, which could be anything at the moment. Right. Now, I don't think this can boot off slot with the memories in slot 2. But it can. I don't know if this will work, but we'll try it. I don't know if this capture card is working. I mean, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't. But on the other screen, I have RiscOS 16, Supervisor, and Startup. The question is, if we fix it before Ben gets back, will we notice the difference between him sulking and not having coffee? Haven't got video output through the capture device, but as it doesn't seem to be working, let's go straight to the monitor. We got a feed. I've got a flashing cursor. RiscOS 16 meg, ARM 710, Acorn ADFS. This could be moaning now because it doesn't have its storage. So let's add VIDE. This is where GPIN will be upset that this is not the 540. Because the 540, because it came after the 400 and 300s, which used RLL drive, well, MFM drives, they had an internal ST506 interface on the board. So to give the 540 some better oomph, it had SCSI. And as we all know, you need goats for SCSI. This could be trying to talk to other devices that are currently configured as off. I've got a hourglass. We have a moving mouse. RiscOS 4. This is running 4 over... This is using the soft loaded 4. That's why it took so long. I don't think we'll get any output into this. Yes, we do. Here we go. Here you go, folks. Have some video. Then we'll be happy because RiscOS 4 has new look as default. So we get the... This will be upset because of me plugging things in and out. Well, this technically is 3.7 when it boots. It's just when it boots, it then overloads it with RiscOS 4 and you lose a couple of meg of RAM. So my plan will be to put the... Let's see, can you see it on that one? Let's switch over to... Let's move this one. Ironically, I now have my keyboard sat on my keyboard. Yep. So my plan is I could put the battery here, but that would probably cause a problem with the slice. But I should have enough to mount it down somewhere down in front of the board. Or I could extend the leads and the battery can actually go in this slot, which is exactly the right size to take a AA battery, and it runs all the way along the front. It's got a couple of cutouts for the hard drive mounting cradle and the front LEDs. Right, so let's remove the power. One of these days, I'm going to do something seriously sensible, and I'm going to check if this power supply has reapers in it. Right, that should now be cold, so we can turn that off. Takes a while for the pine sills to turn off when you kill the power, doesn't it? So We'll try the 32 meg in a bit, but first I want to get it back in its casing so it doesn't wobble and short. So that's for catching. Again, I'm going to put the audio jack locking ring on, but not all the way. It will probably have to come off again in a bit, if I can do it. Fiddly pain. I know you won't see it because when it's at this angle, it's way too far from the camera's viewpoint. I'll show you in a second. So there's the back of the machine, and that's the locking ring on these audio jacks. It's a ring with 2 slots in it, and I don't have a slot driver that will fit over that size. Now we need the horrible screw. Right. So we want that one to come up there and that one to come up there. Now we need a cable that drops on the floor. Should be that way. And that should go that way, and that should go there. Right, so now we need to slice. And this time I will remember to do the floppy drive before the bird connector disappears into the guts. You'll notice that Acorn were never planning to use 12 volts on the bird connector, so it's just 5 volts, 2 earths. I also don't have an audio cable in this one. The other one does, because the normal setup for music playback for audio CDs is the old style, PC style of we control the drive, but the audio goes through its own audio path. Right. Mouse, keyboard. I have a feeling that this does not pass, this capture card doesn't pass the display property pins properly. Right, that SIM slot is still unhappy. I've just had to give it a wiggle. That's the one, Ben. The one I can't remember. got a feed, got 16 meg. Soft loading ROM, there we go. So that's RiscOS 4.39, I think, loading over 3.7. Sorry, 402. How's that for the ultimate stupid boot ROM? It's an entire operating system. I wonder. Nope, doesn't like RiscPCs. Let's see if I can get the video out from this thing. Okay, there's still a fault on the board. See you, Majenko. Yes, monitors by Little Jim, Ben. I'm guessing these are just the defaults. Yes. Ooh. This might allow me to write floppy disks. Yes. Try that. Now for a slow bit. This is a program that can read and write disk images. So you can use it to make ADFs to use in an emulator. You can also use it to pull ADFs and use them in the other machines. So if this works, I'll be able to make disks on this machine for the 3020 and the 3010 without bugging about with networking and stuff. I'd like to get networking working. If anyone wants a really silly one, the browsers for RiscOS speak English. So you can write a website that is Acorn only by using English spellings of the HTML commands. So color, center, etc. And of course, every other browser in the world will ignore them for invalid tags, and then Acorn will render them because the people who wrote things like browse were silly. Now the big question is, does the strong arm card work? Do I go and get the 200 and plug that in instead of the 710? I can't remember what speed the 710 is. I think it's something like 40 or 50 megahertz. I'll leave you to imagine what speed the strong arm 200 is. That's the same error I was getting before. I need to find that module. Let's see if it... What was that? Oh, that was me trying to recover some other information, I think. Yes. Let's see if the capture card will handle this or if it'll crash. Yeah, it doesn't like that. Let's see if it'll stick with the monitor. Pretty much Swarm. It's an extension to the operating system that is loaded in real time. So if you want to do networking, you load a networking module in Pling system. When the system sees what was, well, I say Pling system, what was Ping system. Let's see if we can get some video back. When RiscOS boots up, sees exclamation mark system, it then loads the modules that are inside it to either add functionality or replace it, which is how the entire soft loading of RiscOS 4 over RiscOS 3.7 is actually working. It boots up, it replaces the entire operating system. So if you want to run a CD-ROM, you want a CD-ROM module, not a problem. But if you want to run a newer version of, in this case, something like the graphics library for doing Paint, you just you merge the module with Pling system. When it sees Pling system, it sees the newer version, loads it over for one from the ROM. So it's a completely dynamic loading system. Let's see if we can persuade this to talk back again. There we go. So in a few seconds we should have... There we go. So the reason why I say Pling system is weird is RiscOS 3 and earlier and RiscOS 4 and later have different systems. On RiscOS 3 you would have Pling string, Pling scrap, normally in the root of your hard disk if you've got a hard disk, or an accessory disk, and that's it. This, it's all self-contained in boot, so you can see all the different things. In this case there's the hooks for loading the new version of the system, but all the stuff that used to be in, that's the soft loading operating system. So in here are all the, there you go, all the modules that are linking up. So RiscOS also dynamically allocates file types. Everything is done with a type. In this case, it's a very special one. So there's SparkFS. So this will tell us. No, it should tell us it's an app. Let's try an older one. There we go. So type application. I'll leave that one for GPIN. So, but if you want to load sprite files into Paint. There's no guarantee that RiscOS knows how to load those files and that they're loaded by Paint. But the moment it sees the application, that sets the file type, and it now knows that file type opens with that system. There should be. There we go. It's a boot. Don't know if I can eject from here. It's manual eject only. Let's see if it'll actually read the disk. Let's turn it on. Aha! So this one can read CDs. So we've got, you can see, because we've seen in utilities SparkFS, SparkFS will automatically identify archives, but those could be Spark archives or zip files, and it will happily, and you'll see there it goes. So it loads SparkFS and it opens it as a new folder to say this is what the contents of that file. This is where there is an issue with the Acorn file system, because Acorns don't use slashes in their paths. They use stops. They use full stops. So you can see up here we're on CDFS : disk, so we've only got one, root of the disk, which is the $, and then the archive we've currently opened. So these are, I think, multi-files that I'll have to remember how to open. So yeah, these are all the so if we take this one, for example, these are all ADFs, so I need to extract those to be able to run them either on this system or one of the others. But yes, this is how the modules are loaded on this version. On RiscOS 3, you would load sysmerge, and you drag, it basically gives you two text boxes. You drag your system folder onto the top, the new one onto the bottom, and the system merges them for you. And then it says that's completed. Because everything saving on RiscOS is visual. So if you want to save a file, say into the root of the hard disk here, so you can see we're on ADFS, IDE disk 4, because the system is designed to handle 4 floppy drives, full stop $, so that's the root. So if you were to say, bring up again Paint, do some drawing, to save it, you middle click, select save, type the file name, grab the icon and just drag it onto the hard disk and let go, and that saves it. So let's see. Right, so we've currently got, so yeah, we're losing 4 meg to replace the operating system. So now we know that those are 2 meg ROMs to give us the 4 meg ROM system. So let's shut this down, and we know we will lose video. No, predates how the Mac did it. The Mac had Finder windows way before this came along. But let's see. If we can persuade it to use this one. So we need that monitor. And we've got 32 meg. So the big question is, and this is why I didn't put the pins back in the slice, can I fudge it up slightly and put the VRAM in? Now I'm going to cheat here, and I'll be back in a second. I was just peering at the car. For those who I've spoken to and follow me on Mastodon, I caught someone stealing the valve caps off the tyres of my car, which has been happening for like 2 weeks. So, as you can imagine, I am keeping an eye out. So, for those who, again, follow me on Mastodon, we have some more VRAM modules. And those capacitors are going to have to come up. They are bulging. And as we all know, that is not good. So that might explain the VRAM issues. Now these two look okay. We've got a 2 meg and a 1 meg. In fact, I've got a feeling they're almost from the same batch number, but this one's less used. So I really don't want to have to replace those, because surface mount stuff is not my forte. But I think it's the way around on these ones. The other items in there are the strong arm processor, the full network module, and a RiscPC network card, which goes onto this header. So I've got one that could go into there and one that goes into there, and all of them are iCubes, so I can use the same driver modules on all systems. Should swap this over now. I've got to find where. So we should now have a soft loader like that. Oh, of course, it's done a hard does a hard reboot when it does that. In the Acorn circles, Peter, that's always been the FEEP. Acorn's FEEP on boot. Right, 32 meg. There we go. Soft loading ROM. Just a while. I'll have to. No, yeah. BBCs go B boop. Archimedes go feep. It's sort of the way you can tell the 8 from a 16-bit. Does it go beep? Or multiple point, does it go beep? Or does it go beep? The only weird ones like that is the 305, the 310, and the 3000 because they are badged BBC and they're Archimedes. We should, hopefully. Yeah, we got some video. Right, so we should now. Got a lot of memory. So, I don't know if that VRAM module is in or working. I mean, it could just not be working. But let's go for the big one. We know the other VRAM card is working in the other one, so if all those fails, we can use that machine to test these cards. But here you go. This is a strong arm 200 as opposed to the 233 that's in the other one. And as you can see, it's a tiny processor in comparison to what you'd expect. I mean, it's the same size as the 710. I think the 600 was slightly larger because it was fabbed on an older tech, but it's also a lot thicker. I mean, it's your standard quad flat pack had like 1.5 mil, 2 mil thick. But as you can see on here, you've got a timing crystal, you've got the processor, you've got a few passives, and that's it. And then you look at the strong arm, which is basically covered. So again, we need the monitor. Well, I've got keyboard lights. That's a good start. Got a peep. Strong arm processor. I'm not sure this VRAM card is working. That's really weird. The primary reason I've ever seen that, and I've only seen it on one machine, so I'm no expert on it. It was one of the ones that had been converted to NTSC, stored in a warehouse in the States, shipped back to the UK, converted back to PAL, and then sold as second hand. Right. This is remembering, I've told it it's got a optical drive, which I'm quite happy with. So the strong arm is working. So we've got the higher processor. Let's see if replay will. Yep. Now that's not true, Peter. Citadel's a bit hard to play in the first place. It doesn't need any help. Well, the question there, Matt, does that count? For those who haven't seen the picture, I've done these before. This is a PD drive, a Panasonic phase change drive. When they came out, it was the days of Windows 3.1. Everything was fine. Then 95 came out. 95 with this drive is a pain in the ass because the main drive for this is SCSI, and it takes up one SCSI ID and 2 LUNs. 3M did them in black as well, Swarm. So you get a dark charcoal grey stroke black, or you get this wonderful burgundy. But when you connect it to the system, it detects the system, the card detects the card, detects the drive, and it sees 2 drives. The first drive is for CD, the second drive is the PD. So when you eject the tray, there is a mechanism in it that lifts a tray up when it goes in and out. And there is a cutout on the tray for a CD. So if you want to use it as a CD, you eject your drawer. As it comes out, it drops. You put a CD in, put it in. As it rolls in, it lifts the CD up and mounts it like a normal CD. If you then want to use a PD, you eject it, put the cartridge in, and because it now can't lift it up, it appears on the second drive. This was fine until auto load, because Windows 95 checks for drives to see if something has been put in. So it checks for CD drive, and then it checks for PD drive, and then it checks the CD, and it can cause the machine to hang. And the machine isn't hanged, it's just Explorer is just stuck checking the 2 drives because they're the same one. It's a bit like when you've got an auto changer, you stick a 6-pack cartridge in and Windows goes and loads all 6 of them, and you're sat there waiting for each drawer to be pulled in, spun up, checked what it is, spun down, ejected, lifted to the next drawer, second drawer in. Yes, I had a 4-disc and a 5-disc NEC, and under 95 it could take 5 minutes to get through all the drawers because they each appeared as a separate drive letter, but you only had one actual drive. I'll put that disc away later. I have a few of those, and somewhere I do have the drive for them. I think it's in a loft. Most of it in the loft, you know. Right, let's stick this back onto. Auto run on Windows was great until someone realised it's a great attack vector. Who didn't see that one coming? There we go. So let's try. Anyone want some ducks? There you go, a 20-plus-year-old trying to play video. Well, technically, Matt, there was always support to disable it. What changed was when you could do it without changing it in the registry, when it actually became a setting, and that took about 3 years. This is Acorn Replay. This is Acorn's video format for these. So there we are, a couple of people on a raft. It's quite an efficient compression system. To give you an idea, let's. So there you go. That's what, 3.5 meg. This is all the stuff for the other card, because of course this machine can be a 486. when TweakUI came out, who didn't carry the install around them for all the important stuff? What was the other one? Power Toys was the other important stuff. But yes, this is how you could turn this into a 486. Is basically you have a configuration. This is basically your BIOS. This is the actual program, and this is how to make your boot disk. And you can configure part of a hard disk to be a PC partition, and it boots it as Here you can see the difference in ages. Printers is RiscOS 3, hence the much flatter icon, and Printers Plus is for later systems. Did I put anything? Ooh. Let's see if this will work. It's trying. Oh, that capture's working from the sound. Yep. Let's see what else we've got. And for those who've seen my kitchen clock, there you go. There is the RiscOS Classic clock, which I have a physical version of on sitting up on the counter. There's a present inflated. Oh. Maestro. The audio lead this came with is crap. I'll take a proper cable onto it. It's the cable one. The capture card has an audio input. What did I drop on the floor? Let's see if I can get it over enough. And it's this cheap 3.5 to 3.5 mil jack cable is cheap. I think that's just an audio cable for me. Oh no, it's mine. Before I do a Shelby and Luce and I fix it screwdriver into a box for 2 years. Now this is one that's quite funny. Artworks is a wonderful graphics suite for Acorns. It's also available on the PC. Artworks is what became Zara, that then became Zara Studio, that would eventually be Coral Zara. Yeah, I've got a feeling that's not reading memory properly. There we go. Doesn't that just scream 90s clip art? And because it's a vector drawing package, of course, you can just zoom in as far as you want. this is a useful program. One of the discs I've actually got for this is the backup of its CMOS. I've saved it and stuck it on a disc just in case all else failed when I wanted to get it working. So that's that one. What did I put in 10? Ooh. Probably not. I'll have to try that one of the older ones. But now I've got this one working, I can copy it to discs and stick it in. So that should. Did I leave it in there? I can't remember if I left the CD in there. Yeah, I did. The other one doesn't want to read the discs as properly, so but I don't know if that's a RiscOS issue or a drive issue. But I have spare drives. I could put a 52x CD into the RiscPC. So I'm going to switch back to the top-down view, and we'll shut this down. And I will try one of the other memory cards. Good. Now it's really easy to tell because it's the one that doesn't have the bulging caps. It would help if I put the monitor. Of course, Majenko's going to be upset now because he can't make grabby hands at this machine going, I'll fix it, I'll fix it. Right, so there's definitely something up with the link to the VIDC. And it's probably that resistor pack down there that's got the corrosion around it. Yeah, that's got 18 meg. Now I've got 32 meg. So I need to do some work on the actual sockets. We know Majenko doesn't steal things, he liberates them. I need to check the hard drive LED on this. I don't think the LED's working. It could of course be, but it doesn't know what the monitor is. We didn't like that. Go off for now. Right, let's put the bits back in this and get it underneath the table before bits go missing. So the first thing I did find another thing, and I've got a feeling this one might be modifiable. So don't tell Shelby, because of course the RiscPC dates from the right time to be using the right sims as the PS2. So I'll put those over to there. I'm going to put that on its own in case those caps try and leak. So we've got as I've said before, I guess at some point we should pull the power supplies and check for the dreaded reefers. So I'm just putting the posts in on the. Well, I don't want the smoke alarm in my computer room to go off. That it's not currently engaged in its full mode, but when it is, it will phone out for the fire brigade. So having a reaper go off in here would be quite an issue. When we tested it, when it was new, it was tested by the plumbing and heating department of the electrician I was using, cutting a gas pipe for me and capping it with a blowtorch directly under the smoke alarm, and shockingly enough, it went off. Yes, but this is my well, I say my office. This is where stuff runs that makes me money. Taking the computer room out of action is not an option. Trying to decide if I want to stick the rest of the IPA back in the bottle or just throw it. Given how hard it is to order, and when I say that I mean get it delivered, I might go with the decanting option. Or just a little bit then. £150, that's only 2 games these days. So, right, so the next bit will be, we need some of these. Yeah, but my computer room is quite small. The smoke alarm is by the door, so anything that goes off in here will be dragged over the alarm. Now this is the terrible bit where my eyesight needs to work. Okay, so these are actually two different types of cap, which might explain why three of them are bulged and one isn't. They're all marked 4716S, but the top one is 39A and the others are 6G1s. So we'll look back up on another machine later and see about getting some replacements. Like I said, I'm not looking forward to redoing those because it's not my sort of skill. I might end up taking the traditional Chloe way out and getting Simon to replace the caps for me. But I think that will do today. We've got a machine booting. Thank you everyone for coming along. Next time will be one of the 3000s. We'll get the battery in there, see if we can get those working properly. See if we can get capture out of those. And I'll get some caps on order. Don't know where from because I don't have any supplier accounts at the moment, but I'll figure that out. And we'll go from there. So I'm sure I'll see a load of you in Ben later. I wanted to do this at about 90 minutes because my idea was to give enough time to have food before Ben. Has anyone noticed that some of our streams all revolve around food? I'll work out which one these are, and I'll see because I might be able to get them through Simon. So yes, but we always end up talking about food, Matt. It's one of those things that just comes up as a yeah, sausage roll. Yeah, okay. Anyway, everyone take care, and I will see you when I next stream. I'll try and give everyone a bit of warning. Bye.